Please all stand and sing with me. We are connected by heart. Where do you end? Where do I start? Anything you pray for, if fears is in your way, I am here to listen to anything you need to say. Your prayer is my prayer too. Your prayer is my prayer too. Whatever you feel, I feel you too. You're part of me and I'm a part of you. Your prayer is my prayer too. My prayer too. We are connected by heart. Where do you end? Where do I start? Anything you pray for, if fears is in your way, I am here to listen to anything you need to say. Your prayer is my prayer too. Your prayer is my prayer too. Whatever you feel, I feel you too. You are part of me and I'm a part of you. Your prayer is my prayer too. My prayer too.
Please be seated. Good morning and welcome to Unity of Columbia. It's great to see you all here this morning, and a very warm welcome to our online community. Thank you for checking in with us this morning. So as we gather today, be aware that nothing in you is broken. And that's good news because it means nothing needs to be fixed. But if something feels stuck, know that it's just waiting. And it's waiting for your attention or for your understanding. And if we can let go of resistance, we just open ourselves up for something new. The Buddhist nun Pema Chodron said, "Nothing ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to know." So whatever arises, meet it with compassion and trust that it's just part of your becoming. Please stand and greet each other.
When someone becomes empowered, there is a little less fear. Where there's a little less fear, there is a little less anger. Where there is a little less anger, there is a little less hate. Where there's a little less hate, there is a little less conflict. Then there's a little more peace, and where there's a little more peace, there's a little more love. Where there's a little more love, someone becomes empowered. When someone becomes empowered, there is a little less fear. Where there's a little less fear, there is a little less anger. Where there is a little less anger, there is a little less hate. Where there's a little less hate, there is a little less conflict. Then there's a little more peace, and where there's a little more peace, there's a little more love. Where there's a little more love, someone becomes empowered. Then there's a little more peace, and where there's a little more peace, there's a little more love. Where there's a little more love, someone becomes empowered. One more time. Then there's a little more peace, and where there's a little more peace, there's a little more love. Where there's a little more love, someone becomes empowered.
Good morning. Come on. Good morning. All right. We are grateful for all who contribute to our service today. Welcome everyone to Unity of Columbia. Thank you to those online and to those of you in the audience in the sanctuary. We especially want to welcome you if this is your first time. And we have a welcome packet for you today in the foyer. Please affirm these words with me together. Centered in spirit, we trust the potential of Unity of Columbia to express abundance in perfect divine order. Our community makes decisions for the highest good. We are open to the flow of new opportunities and claim prosperity now. Please join me in affirming our vision, mission, and core values. Our vision is we celebrate a spiritually awakened world. And our mission is we inspire the awakening and practice of divine love in every heart. In addition, we celebrate our core values, knowing that we have come here to be spirit-centered and to express the values of love, peace, and connection. Now for the announcements. We're still needing volunteers, 1 or 2 on Sunday per month, to support the teachers in the Sunday school. Speak to Krista if you'd like to know more about it. Mandela Workshop and Brunch with Lori Thone is on March 14th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you are participating, please bring a dish to share. Registration is now closed. Please note the women's breakfast, the 9 a.m. breakfast, has been rescheduled and will be held alongside the Mandela workshop brunch at 11 a.m. on March 14th. There's no requirements to stay for the workshop, which is already at capacity. Reverend Ann and Joel will be on vacation March 2nd through 26th. For assistance while she is away, please contact the Unity office. And now, Lori, would you come forward for the daily word? And Lori's not here, so I will do the daily word. Today's daily word: I walk with faith along the path of life. When someone gets a flash of insight or makes a sudden realization, it is often said that a light bulb has gone off. It is no surprise that growing in understanding is likened to light, which brings brightness and clarity to what was once obscured by darkness. I am grateful for the illumination I have received as I've traveled the divine path. My spiritual growth may not always be easy, and I will never stop learning and discovering, but there is such value in the journey itself. Those moments I feel newly close to God, those times when the divine within helps me make a better choice, and those precious flashes of pure love and light. I am welcoming my ongoing illumination, knowing the light I seek is already within me. Psalms 18:28. It is you who light my lamp. The Lord, my God, lights up my darkness. Now let's say together the affirmation: I walk with faith along the path of light. And now let's say it quietly to ourselves. Okay. The prayer box is a symbol of blessings today. In prayer, we expand our awareness, knowing that we are expressions of God. We open our minds to receive an abundance of all that is necessary to fulfill our soul's purpose. We now hold others in prayer. If you have filled in a prayer slip, you may come up now and post it in the prayer box, or speak your loved one's name aloud so that we can collectively hold space. Dan. For all the names on our hearts, know that what you have asked for has been answered. Now, our Unity prayer chaplains will be available to pray with you after this morning's service. Now we'll prepare for meditation.
Teach me to pray. My heart is open wide. When self is cleared away, oh Spirit, teach me to pray. Lift me up in the light, in your holy way, knowing this time is right. Oh Spirit, lead me in the light. Teach me to love unconditionally. Let my heart open up, oh Spirit, teach me to love. Teach me to live in grace. Wash my grief away. Here in this silent space, oh Spirit, teach me to live in love.
Let us begin by taking a deep, cleansing breath, and then another, allowing the body to soften, allowing the mind to release its grip. As we breathe out, we let go of the constant clutter and clatter of the material mind, the stories, the worries, the habits of thought that occupy so much of our life. As we let go, we begin to settle into a quiet peace, a gentle awareness of who we truly are beneath all roles, labels, and expectations. We move inward, deeper, and still deeper to that inner place where the walls of meaningless separation begin to fall away. Here we experience ourselves as one with the whole of life, one with infinite consciousness, one with the living principle of truth itself. In this awareness, we begin to sense that this brief moment, this here and now, is only a tiny expression of the vastness of who we are. We recognize that the physical body we experience during this incarnation has emerged from the dust of this beautiful Mother Earth, and in time, it will return again to that same sacred soil. Yet we also realize something deeper. That which we truly are is not limited to material form. Our spiritual self is an individualized expression of infinite mind, a conscious, creative presence endowed with responsibility, awareness, and choice. We are here not to dominate life, but to preserve and protect it, not to exploit nature, but to live in reverence for all life. We sense that our purpose is to walk a path towards universal oneness, growing, evolving, and contributing to greater equality, harmony, peace, and love. In this moment of clarity, we recognize this is not separate from reality. This is reality. The whole of the whole expressing itself through us. Now let us rest here without effort, without words, simply experiencing the wonder and magnificence of what we are and what we were always meant to be. As we gently return to the present moment, we remember a simple but powerful truth. If it is to be, it is up to me. We understand that while outer circumstances may shape our experience, they do not possess authority over our inner truth. When we choose to live from within, from conscious awareness and responsibility, our outer life begins to reflect that inner light. And in living that light, we quietly help illuminate the world. As Albert Schweitzer said, until he extends the circles of his compassion to all living things, man will not find himself in peace. And so it is.
So what makes a life well lived? Is it success or achievement or a great career? Or maybe it's our expression of compassion. Maybe we tell great jokes and we can make people laugh. Or maybe it's courage, the courage to stand up and say what we want to say. Well, today we're going to walk through 4 lessons to live by, and these really are 4 strategies that we can use for a life well lived. And this is not an exhaustive list. This is just 4 suggested ideas that are quite powerful. And so we begin with the first strategy, which is, as you think, so shall you be. And we know that life begins with the mind. This is the starting point of all that happens. And what's going on in here makes all the difference. As we progress through life, hopefully we become better at using the mind. And we learn to instill within us some of the godlike qualities. And as situations come in front of us, we can deal with them in a better way because we're getting wiser and better at the use of the mind. The Apostle Paul said, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." And so the renewing of the mind is the basis of all transformation. That new way to do something, or a new way to look at something, or a new way to think about something. That is the first step of transformation. But it is only achieved if we can steadily practice to train our thought processes. And many of the gurus talk about this. Train the mind, whatever you do, train the mind. So we discipline our mind, and as we encounter our problems in life, the mind helps us to sift and sort through those problems. As practitioners of unity, we know the truth, as within, so without. A truth that our circumstances in the physical life come from our inner thoughts. It also tells us that we attract certain things or conditions because they're beliefs that we hold in the mind. And to realize that can be very hard for some people. It's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow to think, am I really responsible for what's going on here? The philosopher Ralph Waldo Trine said, "Within each one lies the cause of whatever comes to him. No undesirable condition of any kind can come into our lives unless there is already in us that which invites it in." So as you think, so shall you be. And here's something else to consider. Every adverse condition that we experience has its own remedy. Think of poverty. Poverty can be wiped out by a prosperous mind. Disease can be wiped out by thoughts of healing. Confusion disappears when we bring harmony into a situation. And hatred cannot hold out against love. And so for each unwanted condition, there is always a positive opposite. And so this is something that we talk about a lot in Unity. We talk about affirmative, positive ideas. We talk about being aware of the mind and what's going on in there, because it's going to show up on the altar. And this is part of our creative process as creative beings, that we're always co-creating with God. We're taking in the godlike qualities and we're creating what's to come next. This is the creative process manifest in you. And so as you think, so shall you be. The second strategy is about perception. Wayne Dyer once said, "When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change." Sounds a bit like a slogan, but actually it's based on a very profound spiritual truth. He wasn't saying you just look at something and you can go, it's gone. He was talking about perception. You know, how do you perceive something? Because our perception really changes our experience of reality. Remember that changes usually don't happen in the outer first, they happen in the inner. And it all has to do with the meaning, that inner meaning that we assign to something. And once that inner meaning shifts, our emotions shift, our choices shift, our behaviors shift, and eventually our outcomes shift. And so we know that life is not simply what's going on out there, even though it might feel like that sometimes. The world we experience is a reflection of the consciousness we bring to it. And that's why two people can go walking in the rain and one will say, "Oh, this is awful, I'm getting really wet." And then the other person can say, "Isn't this wonderful? The farmers are going to love it." One experience, two different perceptions. So consider when you're looking at something through eyes of fear. You might see scarcity or lack, and it's completely different when we look through eyes of faith. We have trust, we show up with love, we see the growth, we see the possibilities. So there was a man who bought a $1 lottery ticket, or that was his intention, and the man behind the counter mistakenly gave him a $3 ticket, and he said, "Well, I really only wanted a $1 ticket." And then he said, "Oh, it doesn't matter, all right, I'll take it." And it was a winning ticket. So he won $129 million. And I would say that's a very good mistake. So there's been a lot of studies done about people who win the lottery. Psychologists have looked at, how do they hang on to that money? Can they even hang on to it? And they also looked and see, how people feel about it. So what they found was, some people are fine and they're all good with it, but there's some people who feel stressed or depressed. And it's recorded that someone said, "Well, winning the lottery was a trip to hell." Well, I'm not sure that I would see it like that, but that's someone's experience of it. But the most interesting study they did was looking at people before they won the lottery and after they won it. So what they found was that people who were happy before winning the lottery were generally happy after winning the lottery. And people who were unhappy before winning the lottery were generally unhappy after winning the lottery. So if you think you need to win the lottery to be happy, then you better think again. The only choice to be happy, the only choice really to be happy is what brings you happiness. It's not the lottery at all. So in 2 Kings, it tells the story of the prophet Elisha. And the king of Syria was at war with Israel. Every time he planned a military move, somehow they seemed to know what was going to happen. And then eventually the king figured out Elisha was giving away the secrets. So he sent an army to surround the city of Dothan at night. And in the morning, Elisha's servant stepped outside of the house, and he could see that the village was completely encircled by this army. And he cried out, "Master, what shall we do?" So Elisha just calmly came out. He must have been a kind of pretty relaxed dude or something. He just came out and he said, "Don't be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those who are against us." And the servant just didn't understand what he was talking about at all. And then Elisha started to pray, "Lord, open his eyes that he may see." And the scripture tells us that then the servant's eyes were open and he looked up to the mountain, and not only did he see the army up there, he also saw chariots of fire and horses surrounding the village. Now, the important thing about the story is that those fiery chariots didn't turn up after Elisha prayed. They were always there. But the prayer had changed the perception of the servant. And so perception is everything. Remember, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Well, the third strategy has to do with resentment. There are no justified resentments. I'm going to say that again. There are no justified resentments. And isn't it interesting how justified we feel when we hold a resentment? And often there's a big story to it. Well, this is what happened, and we had to do this, and you know how the stories go. But when we are resentful and when we hold on to it, it binds us to that resentment. So in the Gospel of Matthew, Peter asked Jesus, "Well, how many times must I forgive? 7 times?" And Jesus says, "Oh no, 70 times 7. And for those of you who are good at figures, that's 490. So that's a lot of forgiving. But then Jesus tells Peter a story. He says, the servant owed the king a very large debt of money. And it was more than he'd be able to repay in a couple of lifetimes. But the king, who was a compassionate man, cancelled his debt entirely. And then that same servant comes across a fellow servant who owed him a tiny amount of money. But instead of being merciful like the king had been to him, he seized the man by the throat and he said, "Yeah, you've got to pay me." And the man pleads for mercy and he says, "No, throw him in prison." Anyway, the king finds out about this and he's quite disgusted. He calls him a wicked man. He says, "How come you didn't give him some mercy after I showed mercy to you?" And he more or less said, "Well, my resentment is justified. He does owe me the money." And that is true. He does owe him money. But it's this idea that I've been wrong and therefore I'm going to hold on to my compassion. It's really like saying, I want mercy for myself, but I want justice for you. And I think that's like a split in consciousness, 2 opposites. We can't hold 2 opposites at the same time. So if a colleague undermines you, the hurt is real, but when we say, "I will never forgive them," we're allowing that thing that has happened to take hold of us. If a family member speaks harshly, you might replay the words for years. I've seen that happen. Well, what are you doing? You're developing a hardened heart. Or if a betrayal occurs, it's true that trust might need rebuilding, boundaries might need strengthening, when you forgive, it doesn't mean that you don't have any boundaries. It just means that you refuse to let the bitterness take hold. And so the teaching is, don't forgive because they deserve it. Forgive because you have already been forgiven. And what does the Buddha say about this? He says, well, hate is not conquered by hate. Hate is conquered by love, and that is the eternal law. And so we learn there are no justified resentments. And the fourth and final strategy is don't die with the music inside of you. And so we're not just talking about music here. The music inside of you may be an unlived calling, an unspoken truth, an unreleased compassion. It might be an unwritten book. It might be an unreconciled relationship, withheld courage, or unused potential. And the music inside of us comes in many, many forms. There was a woman named Anna Mary Robertson Moses, who we know as Grandma Moses. She lived most of her life on a farm. She had children, she cleaned, she cooked and worked on the farm. There was nothing really extraordinary about her. But when she reached her 70s, she started to develop arthritis, and she loved to do embroidery, and she couldn't do it anymore. So she thought, well, I think I'll just pick up a paintbrush and see what I can do. And she started painting pictures of, the farm and fields and barns and different things. She didn't do it because she wanted to start a career or anything like that. It was just her way of expressing her creativity. And so one day a local collector noticed some of her work was in the local drugstore window. And then eventually her paintings were hung in art galleries, and so she wasn't really discovered as an artist until she was in her 80s. So the music inside of you doesn't expire at a certain age, and it doesn't wait for permission. Grandma Moses could have said, well, I'm a bit old to be starting some new hobby, but she just gave it a go. And so the tragedy for many of us is not a lack of talent, but it is the decision to withhold it. And so your music might not look like art. It may be a reconciliation, a truth that you haven't spoken, or a compassion you haven't yet acted upon. So strategy 4, don't die with the music inside of you. So life is a smorgasbord of possibilities. And we see much more with the mind than we ever see with the eyes. Every encounter, every experience, and every event is really a testimony to the strategies that we use for a life well lived. So remember these truths. As you think, so shall you be. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. There are no justified resentments. None. Zero. And don't die with the music inside of you. And so it is.
Please all stand. I'm called to be a healer for all humanity. I'm called to be a dreamer, believing what can be. I'm called to be a maker, be an instrument of peace. I'm called to be a giver of abundance I receive. I'm called to be a prayer, living out the truth I seek. I'm called to be everything. I'm called to be the glory here on earth. Oh, might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. I'm the living, breathing God, and you are in me. We are called to be. You're called to be a mother, to nurture family. You're called to be a brother, be strength in times of need. You're called to be a neighbor, see a friend in all you meet. You're called to be a healer, to build a community. You're called to be a prayer, living out the truth you see. You're called to be everything. You're called to be the glory here on earth. Oh, might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. I'm the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We are called to be. We are called to be the kindness that the broken-hearted free. We are called to be forgiveness where pain has run too deep. We are called to be compassion, be the wind beneath each wing. We are called to make communion, only then can we succeed. We are called to be a prayer, living out the truth we seek. We are called to be everything. We are called to be the glory here on earth. Oh, might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. We're the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We are called to be.
Hey, we just want to give a shout out to Hickey online, so thank you, Hickey. And now we place a blessing on our gifts and put ourselves into the law of circulation. If you are joining us online and you've been blessed by today's message, I invite you to go to our giving page on our website. That is unityofcolumbia.org. Your gift will help keep these services online. As we support our spiritual community, please take your offering, whether you give electronically, by check or cash. Hold it in your hand and your heart as we affirm these words together. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful.
Thank you, Jen. And so we give our gifts today in gratitude for all the blessings we have received and those that are yet to come. We say thank you to the divine source, knowing that this is the source of all, the divine order that comes in and through our lives. And we say thank you for these gifts, given freely and with love to do the work of Spirit through unity of Columbia. And we say together, Amen. Thank you. And we welcome in the children.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Good morning. So today we were thinking about how we're all one big family, and since that's the case, we like to treat each other kindly, and we were thinking of ways that we could be kind to each other. Does anyone like to share one of their ideas?
Hanging out with your family.
Yeah. What do you do to be kind, Ronya?
Share.
Sharing, and that's so hard too sometimes. You want to say, Paisley?
I will be everybody's best friends.
Best friends. Oh, so many good ideas. All right, let's bless our children. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are.
All right, please rise and sing with us the prayer of protection.
God is here, the light of God surrounds us. God is here, the love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.
As we move into our week, I invite you to show up in the world as we were wonderfully and beautifully made, in joy and in pure love. Our deepest blessings to Reverend Ann and Joel on their trip down under. Have an amazing time. Remember always, wherever we are, infinite truth consciousness is.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that is meant to be. With God as Creator, family whole are we, as we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.